videos from like 6 years ago. The can't. Why we need gatekeeping? The cancer killing anime. Oh boy. Why do we need that? I wonder.
In our last episode, we set out to answer what is an ironic weeb, and found that despite the description, all it really was, for the most part, was a way to insult someone for not having good enough taste or not taking your hobby seriously enough. Today, we'll look at a different aspect of the problem
Color me shocked.
brought on by anime's more recent rise to prominence in the West. First, let me set the scene. Imagine you're at a party. Nothing big, just some low-key apartment thing. You don't even know whose place it is, just that your friends are going.
Hell no, you're getting me copyrighted for that. Fucking hell, man.
And you've got to go too. Wonder of wonders, everyone has split off with other guests, so you're standing in the kitchen next to the cinnamon rolls you brought, wondering how long before it's socially acceptable for you to start eating them before anyone else can. As you nurse your drink, a guy walks in to grab a beer. He's a pretty ordinary looking guy. Nothing he's wearing screams any particular category you can easily stereotype him into. To your surprise, he strikes up a conversation. He asks what kinds of things you're into, and you, knowing you're among friends, or friends of friends at least, tell him that you're into anime. His reaction is immediate. Oh wow, yeah, I'm totally into anime too. Fucking Japan, man, right? King of the Hill's my favorite anime. Just kidding, senpai. What are you watching now? The positive reaction puts you a little at ease. Oh, well, right now I'm in the middle of watching the most recent season of JoJo. His eyes light up. Oh shit, is that a motherfucking JoJo's reference? Nah though, man, I love that shit. I'm like the biggest JoJo fan. That To Be Continued meme is my favorite. That song is so sick. I wish there was like a full version of it somewhere. What? Nah, man, but it's cool to meet another anime fan. I've been getting really into My Hero Academia myself. Fucking normies though, am I right? I was talking to this girl yesterday, and she said she liked anime, but she'd never even seen Spirited Away. She kept talking about some Legends of the Cosmic something or other show like a fucking casual. Back to JoJo, what's your favorite stand, man? At this point, you've grown suspicious. You decide to test this brash young mountebank. Well, in terms of design, my favorite's probably Stone Free. But power-wise, I think Scary Monsters is really cool. You wait expectantly. You've given the test, and now there are two choices. He picks the wrong one. Yeah, that's cool. I'm more of a fan of Zawarudo. You see your chance and you take it. Well, what about Scary Monsters, though? Do you think there's a better stand in Part 7? He gives you a nervous look. He takes a quick pause, clearly thinking. He's paused a bit longer than is natural, and you can see that he knows it. Before he starts to sweat, he opens his quickly drying mouth and responds. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of Part 7. I mean, I read it a while ago, so I can't even remember any of the stands. Just name one. You have him cornered now. He looks.
Oh, I see. I guess that's what ironic weeb means. It means like you know about the fucking show, but the only time people remember is only because of this internet meme reference shit, and didn't watch the whole entire constant context of it anyway. I guess I guess technically I'm a fake Initial D fan because I only listen to Eurobeat music. I listen to like few to several dozen Eurobeat music. So it's like, oh well. I guess this video already called me out on that, huh? Uh-oh. Busted.
Looks at you again, this time a little irritated. Like I said, man, it's been a while since I read it. I don't even really remember. Anyway, I'm gonna head back into the party. It's super cool meeting another anime fan, though. Maybe we'll talk again later. He turns away and heads out of the kitchen, but you remain. There's a fire burning inside you now. A resentment. A frustration. A feeling that you've been slighted. You've just come face to face with a poser. This is an experience I think has happened to most of us. You think you're connecting with a like-minded individual, and BAM! Poser. The telltale signs were all there. overuse of memes, criticism of other people's clearly superior taste, failure to recognize that turning people into dinosaurs is clearly the best power you could ever have. Whether it's because of anime, music, movies, TV, comics, anything you're a fan of, it seems inevitable that each of us will run into the poser. And it can be a really frustrating experience. Nerds are effectively defined by their abnormal attachment to things that they like, at least by the modern definition. A nerd is pretty much anyone that has an all-encompassing obsession with some piece of media. You can be a Star Wars nerd, a game nerd, a comic nerd, a history nerd. Hell, you could be a sports nerd, despite what some people.
Last anime I've watched was Paprika, and Paprika is was from the same anime director who had made Perfect Blue, and I had enjoyed those films. So that's, but that was like a few months ago. Hell, I didn't. Hell, like last Guild War. I don't know if Lama's still here. There, I don't think I watched. I haven't even got the chance to watch the anime yet. And normally it would be during the right opportunity, but it's like, well, I don't know.
Might tell you. My dad is probably the nerdiest guy I know when it comes to Star Wars, Star Trek, comics, classic TV series, and the fact that he keeps detailed stats of every player on his favorite teams across basketball, baseball, football, and hockey is not the kind of thing that anyone would consider mainstream cool, no matter how much sports fans are considered socially acceptable otakus. Because of this dedication to a single piece of media, nerds find it difficult to find others that possess the same.
Check who was the director of that movie. You mean Paprika and Perfect Blue, the Satoshi Kon. Yeah, he goes by Satoshi Kon. So perfect. I think I went through like 3 to 4 movies so far. There's an anime series called Paranoia Agent, and that's on my list. So I'll keep that in mind. But as far as I remember, when it comes to his works, I believe the best movie out there so far, and I've enjoyed it and it's almost like a 10 out of 10 to me, was a Perfect Blue. I don't, because the thing about the and I'm not, this this may come off as glazing, but and I'm not gonna treat this that anime director who unfortunately passed away like some sort of philosopher per se, but Perfect Blue and Millennium Actress, those 2 movies I had watched, and Paprika, whenever it makes me want to go back and rewatch it, eventually, but it's more of an eventually because I treat the movies as like, as a sort of meaning because there's story to it and then there's meaning. So
Same knowledge of the total number of minutes we see Sarah Michelle Gellar's feet across all 7 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is how fandoms form. Thanks to the internet, it's become easier than ever to find fandoms. And it's become easier to find the material that we once had to seek out to dedicate our time to, in order to claim nerd status. Streaming sites like Netflix, Hulu, and of course Crunchyroll have made anime more mainstream than it's ever been, even among people who don't even really give a shit about anime.
yeah, but here's the thing about Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll used to be a piracy site a long while back before it turned into a mainstream streaming service, which is the irony of it. You know, and oh wait, actually no, I lied. I was watching the anime last Guild War, which was last month. I was watching the anime called Odd Taxi. Yeah, that was the one. Odd Taxi. I need to fit. I think I'm halfway to finishing it up. I need to get back to it at some point.
Anime. I have friends who don't give any kind of a shit about anime, who talked to me about how much they enjoyed Agretsuko. Despite the ease of access, it holds true across all forms of media that becoming a true fan of something requires work. Work and time. Music fandom is perhaps the most model example of this. Want to call yourself a Rush fan? Sure. Have you listened to every Rush album? Have you read the liner notes? Have you watched every documentary or behind-the-scenes commentary? Have you read the Kevin J. Anderson novelization of their newest album? Did you read its sequel? How many concerts have you been to? No matter how much you dedicate your life to a fandom, there will always be someone else who is a bigger fan of it. I mean, Rush is my favorite band, but the friend who got me into them is the son of a Rush superfan who not only bought
Oh shit. You know, maybe that's relatable too, because imagine if someone was wearing like a t-shirt of a rapper and just you walk up to the guy is like, hey, I see you're a fan of that rapper, and it was but all of a sudden like he only wore that t-shirt just for design purpose and he only knows like his stuff, few albums from him per se. Ah, I don't know, dude. Is this the example of a poser? Holy shit.
bought the chicken suit used to tend rotisseries during
Well, the funny thing is, like, I used to listen to the rapper called Ice Cube, but I only listen to his old stuff more than his new stuff that that he you know puts out. Broski, I'll be hopping off now. Wish you a good continuation. All right, have a good one, Llama.
during the Snakes and Arrows tour, but also owns Neil Peart's drum kit from Fly By Night, aka Chromie. Try standing in the shadow of that kind of superfan. Let's quickly go back to our party. You are acting like a real jerk. According to modern pop culture personalities, you have become the worst kind of person to be. You have become a gatekeeper. A gatekeeper is a person who excludes or attempts to exclude others from a fandom based on them not passing some kind of test of experience or ideological purity in the realm of that particular group. A gatekeeper can be a person asking you to name every album by your alleged favorite band in order, or it can be the person asking you how you could possibly claim to be a Star Trek fan if you enjoyed Voyager in any capacity. This is the kind of reason why gatekeeping gets a bit of a bad rap. Too many times it becomes a subjective test. It's not, are you experienced enough with the topic to justify claiming fandom? It's,
Yeah, but is it gatekeeping or is it just straight up elitism? But I can understand your argument per se, and your even though your username goes by the self-hating weave, it's I mean it can happen to anything like gotcha games an example, visual novel fandom, shows, video games. It's 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 everywhere you go. It's not just anime, my guy. you know?
do your views align closely enough with mine that it validates me for you to claim the label of fandom? This subjectivity is what starts to
Right, the one with the whole like what's the phrasing? The whole like I like the show that you dislike type of thing. It happened to me, frequently in the past too, so that's not surprising.
poison the well. As much as I hated The Last Jedi, I would never argue that Kevin Smith is not a real fan of Star Wars because he disagrees with me on that. He's put more time and thought into the Star Wars universe than I've put into being alive, and his dedication to them is apparent from any one of his movies.
There's only one return, okay? And it ain't of the king, it's of the Jedi. Wow.
Are You a True Fan should never be a placeholder for do you agree with me? But gatekeeping, when reliant on the level of familiarity or dedication with a specific property, also is not ideal. Just
But why should we be forced to agree with you? Because at this rate, everything is turned into a debate at this rate, and then if anything, it's unproductive.
as Kevin Smith loves Star Wars, so do I. I have also seen every movie. I have also spent stupid amounts of time arguing with friends about in universe physics and rewriting the prequels. Does my opinion on The Last Jedi matter any less because I am arguably not as obsessed with Star Wars as Kevin Smith? What about someone who spent more money on Star Wars merch? Is their opinion more valid? It's hard to adopt an egalitarian perspective on fandom or lend equal weight to someone else's opinion when you feel that you've spent more time on it and thus are more knowledgeable. That investment, that work that you put in, creates a preference for a meritocratic system in which the ones that tick the right boxes get more to say, especially when those boxes are tailored just for you.
Seen over 1,000. Well, honestly, I've only watched over 100. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's really the achievement to have seen over 1,000 like TV series. A lot of the times, like you either be going to be watching a 12 episode show or a 26 episode one, or beyond from that.
But as difficult as it may be, we must always take an egalitarian viewpoint to ideas and judge them on their merit, not who's presenting them. This is one of the reasons why I think anonymity or semi-anonymity can be a great asset to a fan base, because it forces people to judge opinions on their face and not based on the perceived level of power the person has. If someone walked into an anonymous discussion of Yotsuba and starts talking about how Yotsuba is a shit, they'd probably get harangued about it until they left, because Yotsuba is a gift to all mankind and her smile must be protected.
Well, that's just called the person has a hot take. So, and
On the other hand, if someone came into that same thread saying that Yotsuba will grow up to marry Yanda, you would probably get infighting, but not be driven off. Because as wrong as some people are, there's enough of a nugget of truth in what they say to mean that there are others out there with this shitty opinion.
genuinely upsetting.
There are varying levels of fandom, and while it would be easy to have a set experience number or task list for someone to check off to be considered a fan, it's obviously never going to be as simple as that. There are many different ways to express fandom. Someone's hours and hours of meticulous sewing and unreasonable amount of money spent creating a new cosplay is not invalidated by the fact that they've only watched 10 different anime. Unless they didn't even actually watch the show that they're cosplaying, or even worse, they didn't make the cosplay themselves and they're just getting paid to stand there and look pretty, that's not a fan, that's an employee. Regardless of how fandom is expressed, the lowest tier of any fandom is what we call casuals. Casual is basically the term used to refer to anyone new to a fandom. And while it is sometimes used derogatorily, it is not inherently a bad thing. Everyone starts off as a casual, and most casuals are still pure. They're new to the group and their mind is open. They want to be a part of something, and they want to learn. So they'll listen to their senpai and try to put the work in to get the knowledge they need if they're really serious. There will always be casuals who bear only a fleeting interest, and these people are generally fine provided they're open about their level of interest. The point here is that casuals must be willing to learn. They need to recognize that they are entering into an established group and most people in the group know a hell of a lot more than they do. The group has established norms and dynamics that should be observed if you don't want negativity brought upon yourself by upsetting that balance. In other words, lurk more. While their ideas may still hold value and even be inventive in their lack of constraint, they might be missing some key piece of experience or information that causes everything to fall apart. The senpai-kohai relationship is the focus of many a meme nowadays, but despite whatever contemporary memeing senpai has taken on, the actual Japanese meaning is that it's a way to refer to someone who is your senior, whether it be a year ahead of you at school or hired earlier at work. This is not unlike the relationship between a casual fan and an experienced fan. Hardcores must care for their kohais and impart wisdom that they've gained. Casuals must respect their senpai and seek their guidance so that they too may one day pass on their knowledge when they become senpai.
But what a way to insert the Azumanga Daioh reference there. Pretty goofy anime, by the way.
By themselves. Without such a cycle, a fandom, nay, a society, cannot exist. And this is where posers fuck everything up. Because a poser is essentially one thing: a casual posing as a hardcore, a kohai pretending to be a senpai. At their core, a poser is a liar. They claim to be a fan of something and portray themselves as being knowledgeable or dedicated. There are a whole host of reasons why someone would do this. First is simply not wanting to seem out of the loop. This is something I think maybe everyone's done. You fake your way through a conversation about a show or a movie that you've never seen, but it's popular enough that you basically have the gist of it.
You ever lie for no reason at all, just all of a sudden a big lie spills out of your evil head there? You know? And you don't even know, like a guy comes up to you, go, hey, you ever see that movie with Meryl Streep and a horse? And you go, yes. And in the back of your head, you go, what the hell am I lying about over here? I stand to gain nothing by this lie.
On the whole, this is
But anyone can lie on the internet, though, and everything online is just nothing more than strangers. So, in fact, how can you tell when it comes to the fandoms that they're just liars? So, unless oh boy.
pretty harmless. Another possible reason is wanting to seem cool. I think anyone who has an older sibling knows what it's like to be around the cool older kids who know more than you, and want desperately for them to think well of you. This is not coming from a bad place, but this is not a good way to be. And all it does is make you look like an idiot and fill you with embarrassment when you look back on it in 5 years. But honestly, what I think causes posers the most is a lack of good senpais. The fringe nature of fandoms, particularly anime,
Lack of good senpais. What about lack of good faith? Well, lack of good guidance.
and weeb shit, means a lot of the people occupying them tend to be awkward, weird, social rejects who don't have a lot of real friends IRL because of their general perception of
This is some extreme territory right there. There's a lot of parasociality going on within the current harsh reality. And of course, we live in the current harsh reality, meaning that,
not being accepted in the normal world. There's this assumption that the fandom must be accepting of everyone
it's like, how can you find a good recommendation per se?
to make up for that. We were excluded and bullied, so we shouldn't exclude or bully anyone else. Makes sense, right? Well, the problem with being a senpai is that being nice
It's crazy how it's crazy how the pendulum swings that way, right? From anime is weird to anime is being accepted, and then now, as of right now, it went back to anime being weird. it's like a continuation of a pattern, if you ask me.
isn't always an option. Sometimes you just gotta say, no, that's fucking wrong. Your opinion is provably false based on available fact, and you're dumb if you can't accept that. The warm, fuzzy, accepting people don't want to tell someone they're wrong and hurt their feelings and scare them away. And casuals won't want to express their opinions if they're worried.
It did happen to me with Madoka Magica, where like a fourth movie is going to come out soon, and then one guy I know just says like it was brush it off like that, and I was like, well, I can't be bothered, continuing that conversation with you, because it seems like you have some sort of disinterest in it, if you ask me. Well, and the funny thing is, the third movie of Madoka Magica was around 2013, right? And it's crazy that I did never recall that the studio Shaft was still in the middle of the process of making a fourth movie, and I didn't expect that. I thought it's over, done and over with. So, yeah.
They're going to be chastised for it. Well, when people keep saying dumb shit and no one challenges them, they start believing their own dumb shit. And then when new casuals join, they see this poser talking all this dumb shit and they think, wow, they sure know a lot, and they start to spout that same dumb shit. And before you know it, the dumb shit opinion has spread so far that it's become an accepted part of the fan base. So why is the
I mean, that's not, well, yeah, and on social media, like Twitter, also known as Twitter, it's still ongoing. So
dilution of a fan base a bad thing? Why is gatekeeping helpful? Growing and changing should be a healthy thing for a group, right? Increased inclusion will bring in new viewpoints and new opinions. Well, while to some extent this is true, social identity is a very real thing. There are decades of research into how people base their perception of themselves on what group they're a part of, what kind of social norms are part of that group, and how the group tends to feel about other groups. People exhibit in-group preference and react competitively or even hostilely to someone outside of their group. That sense of belonging is very tangible, and I would argue holds a lot more weight for someone when they're only part of a few social groups. So when you dilute a fan base, when you let people through that gate that don't conform to those norms, who don't meet the expectations of the group, you are essentially changing the definition of what it means to be a part of that group, and as the standard of entry becomes slacker and slacker, you are eroding the identity altogether. To me, this is the biggest reason not to let everyone claim group status. Not to keep the wrong people out, but to maintain the fact that there's even a group to begin with. As with any
okay, but if okay, but here's the thing though. If that's problematic at the current moment, how do you keep it's online? How do you keep the wrong people out when it's online? In IRL, there could be a possibility, but I don't know about I don't know if the way to keep wrong people is like blocking. I don't know. I can understand what you're trying to put here. It's just like how it's like okay, how are you going to do that then?
problem, there's really only two solutions: prevention and removal. Removal of posers is inevitably going to be incredibly difficult. Gatekeepers often fail in dealing with posers in the tone of their responses. No one would ever say that someone who has a dumb opinion on the internet doesn't get corrected. On the contrary, they get tons of people correcting them. The problem is that the corrections get lumped in with death threats, personal attacks, and targeted harassment. This makes it very easy for people to paint an entire hardcore fanbase as some kind of hateful troll. Attacking someone's tone is a lot easier than attacking someone's argument. The only real option that you have on this one is to expose the person, to prove that they're lying.
Not surprising. That's not surprising. I mean, look what happened to the one anime called Darling in the Franxx or whatever the fuck that anime you pronounce. Because like because you unhinged people specifically. I don't know about I don't know. I said you within the wording. Let's just say specific anime fans why not decide to go after the voice actors and make threats all because of a shipping that you don't like within that show. And I didn't and again I didn't watch Darling in the Franxx before. I've heard of it, I just didn't watch it. I just know that the series, progressed from like good into a flop as far as I remember. So but I I remember what happened there, because not all fandoms are gonna be happy. Oh man, what that was one hell of a timeline to deal with.
About their level of experience to prove that they don't know what they're talking about. This can be incredibly difficult to do, especially in this age of the internet, where any test or any question that you ask can easily be solved with a Google search or looking something up on Wikipedia, provided the person has the time. And of course, with the cult of personality people tend to build up on the internet nowadays, if somebody larger is actually a poser, they have entire groups of fans to come to their defense and attack people just for implying that any kind of misdirection is being carried out. Even people who have been exposed as posers, who it's been demonstrated that they don't know what they're talking about, that they don't have the experience they claim.
Gee.
claim to have in that fandom, that they're just lying about it to try to get some kind of power or authority or money out of that particular group, still have people that come to their defense and have excuses or shields that they can throw up to get around any actual consequences for lying to people. And so that's why gatekeeping before things get out of hand and trying to help guide new people entering the fan base is really the only option to prevent a poser from coming in and trying to mess everything up. Let me put things another way. Fandom is an abyss. The deeper you go, the more esoteric things become, and the harder it is to climb back out. The hardcore old balls fans are white whistles, so steeped in their own world that they become detached and unable to properly connect with the world above. And the casual fans are the cute little red whistles above the abyss, looking down into the unknown world and proclaiming to the uninitiated how great the wonders of the abyss are, because they themselves have never ventured below the first layer. Imagine how frustrating it must be for a white whistle to hear about how cool the abyss is. You don't know. Of course they would retreat back into the abyss only to interact with other abyssal creatures, and never communicate again with the surface delvers. This makes hardcores unable to act as spokesmen for their own fandom. They are viewed as elitist and exclusionary. Their refusal to accept or even interact with newcomers makes them
I don't call myself a I know Fallout has nothing to do with the anime, but Fallout as in the game franchise, like I don't consider myself as a Fallout fan. I mean I only play like the first two Fallout games that were made in the late 90s and Fallout New Vegas. Oh, uh, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be surprised if people would come up to me and be like, "Did you play every Fallout game that is out there?" Oh, I don't know.
things so much easier to co-opt and taint because no one wants to listen to them.
Oh god, I guess that can be applied with Halo, with the Halo franchise too. Oh, that's funny. That is amusing, if you ask me.
They make themselves the enemy and an easy target. Fandoms need more people to choose to be moon whistles, people who engage with the red whistles and guide them deeper into the abyss. Fandoms across the internet always have been so cancerous. Some seem inherently toxic, and others just seem to attract the wrong sort of people. The incorporation and integration of new members into a fandom is only one of these problems. And perhaps a look at some of the others in later episodes. For now, when it comes to posers, I think that it's a relatively simple solution. People just need to accept their own ignorance. It's okay not to know everything. Don't be an asshole and try to pretend like you do. Accept criticism of your own ideas. Don't take everything as a personal attack. Don't be a dick and try to put yourself above others or in some kind of position of authority when you know you don't belong there. And I know the easiest way to deal with posers is to just exclude them. And sure,
Way to get judged over at times. I already explained the freaking the pendulum.
many of them may be beyond saving, but exclusion of casual fans and attacking posers is currently one of the greatest threats to fandoms in general. Longtime members of fandoms isolating themselves and refusing to interact with filthy casuals does nothing but
Oh my goodness, dude. You must have to see over 300 anime stuff in order to enter. Oh, what a meme, dude. Holy shit. Well, I guess I guess I'll be told to fuck off apparently. I mean, hell, like I don't think I watched enough 90s anime to or retro stuff to begin with, honestly. Oh my goodness. This is, if anything, this is semantics at this point.
remove any influence those individuals have on the trajectory of the culture. And this only strengthens the changes they wish to avoid. Gatekeeping is a necessity to keep fandoms from going astray. But even the strictest guard still lets people through the gate.
Oh,
So, one thing I didn't really get to was how gatekeeping handles intentionally subversive forces. This is something that's really complicated as a topic, and it's probably something I'm going to dedicate an entire episode to. It's probably not going to be the next episode, but it'll be somewhere down the line. It's going to be a lot to take on, so I'm going to try to leave it for maybe slightly later date. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and please leave a comment. If you didn't enjoy this video, I guess leave a dislike and also leave a comment. I'm new to this, and any criticism that isn't kill yourself, or you have shit taste, or Yanda and Yotsuba are OTP would greatly be appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Well, it is by the YouTuber that goes by the self-hating weeb, and he hasn't uploaded in a while.
When I was 10 years old...
Nope. Stop it. Yeah, he hasn't made a video for over several months. Pretty sure he's busy by now. Yeah. I guess he does have a point when it comes to why gatekeeping is an important ideology, but honestly, I feel like it can be bit more overcarried away at times, and it relies on within an elitist judgment of the sort. But again, I feel like a lot. Well, the one example that you put when it comes to like when you're going to like, you know, IRL party and whatnot is, I think it's somewhat more anecdotal. Although, and anecdotals, I don't think an anecdote could be dangerous. It's more of, you know, having more of a personal bias. But yeah, no, pretty good video.